Welcome to today's episode of Nickname versus the World. I'm your host, Nicneame, the man, the myth, the legend. Maybe things that I'm not. But on what is today, International Poke Day. And no, that's not what you think. Poke is actually an international dish from Hawaii, which combines multiple pieces of raw fish and spices. It actually looks quite delicious. The raw fish thing, probably not for me. Is it unagi? I can't remember what it's called in Japanese. Anyway, International Poke Day, 28th of September. Go get you some. Today is a bit of a mishmash of things and ideas and stuff and a bit of a catch up on what has happened over the last couple of weeks, because I find it all extremely hilarious and funny. Some of it's serious, obviously, but seriously funny. Also, today's t-shirt I'm wearing is the Skid Factory. This is one that I designed for the guys called Hulkasuka. It's a Nissan Skyline with an engine by Nelson Hartley. It's quite a cool little wee project. And yes, I have background artwork coming in. You can see my lovely DC poster I got here. That is actually a marble poster, and it is not portrait, it is a landscape. So thank you to my order. It's not really what I wanted it to be. I'm going to have to get another one later on. The Queen's funeral. I did speak briefly in my last video about the Queen. It's sad, her legacy and everything that's passed on. There's questions about imperialism and do they need a monarch in Britain anymore? And what is the function of, the royal family and the monarch in New Zealand? And the question has popped up about will we become a republic? It's a good question. I guess we're going to have to find out. I have no opinion either way. I think in some ways it's kind of nice having the royal family because it kind of gives you something to look up to. I know that sounds probably silly and a bit trivial, but yeah, I know. I thought it was interesting. Anyway, Sam Uffindell, he is in the clear in the eyes of National and his boss. And he played very well the waiting game. And you're probably thinking, well, what's this waiting game? A piece of bad news comes out about you or your party or your organization or whatever it is. You say, we're going to investigate. We take a couple of weeks to slowly investigate it. And then we come back out and say, no, we're happy with everything. The smoke has died down from the PR shitstorm that you've created. And everyone's happy. Everyone's forgotten pretty much what you have done. And no one really cares anymore. So that's what they did. They played the waiting game on that one. And as probably expected, no one really cares too much, which is a bit of a shame because there were documents that they had that they wouldn't release that had actual, testimony from the people who were involved, which was the young lady at the time and her father, who's down in Dunedin, who said that Sam did go off the hook at her, but we don't know. We just don't know. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Launching a podcast is a difficult thing to do. I last week sent out about 100 emails to people with a media release saying who I was, what the show's about, and what I do, and what I'm not associated with. What I'm not associated with is disinformation, right-wing politics, and right-wing people, what is it, counterspin media. Those people have put a bad name on the word podcast. I lost my voice. So yeah, the public perception of podcasts is kind of, I feel like it's going down the toilet because anyone can get on the camera and a microphone and put something on the internet and say whatever the hell they think. That's pretty easy. Anyone can do that. It's about whether or not you find that person that you're watching or listening to actually informative and worth taking on their opinion and, accepting what they're saying. So it's been very tricky for me. I've had to make sure that I've said that I don't believe or tolerate disinformation and those sorts of things. I thought it was interesting that I actually needed to take that tact and say that. Normally you just say, hey, I'm Nicneame and this is my show, come listen. It doesn't work like that anymore. You've got to really show people, hey, I'm not, into crazy stuff. One of the YouTube channels I used to watch, it was about farming equipment and building farm equipment and restoring them and stuff. The guy then, around about the time of the Christchurch massacre, he started reading out pages from that guy's manifesto, which I just think are the scribblings of a madman. And he was saying that on his YouTube channel, so all of these people that were following his YouTube channel for farming content, and they were made, predominantly white American farming people, lapped it up. Unfortunately, that was really sad. And you've got to be careful about who you watch, because I didn't think that guy would actually go down that route. That was extremely disappointing. So whoever you invest your time in watching, there's the hope that they don't turn out to be crazy. Yeah. Anyway, the other thing is interesting as well is opinionated celebrities, like, they'll do, like the 7 o'clock news shows, or they'll be on radio shows where they give their opinions about politics and economic shit and all that sort of stuff. And it saddens me because some of them are real pieces of work and they're enjoying a great career, earning a lot of money. Yet people who potentially could be actually providing a more open-eyed view of the world are just not getting listened to. Namely me. But yeah, you'll see those people on their shows. They'll talk absolute drivel, or they will contradict themselves. Some of them said that it was a good idea that the government was closing the borders when COVID happened, and then the next day they're saying, oh no, you need to open up the borders, business needs to keep happening. It's like, well, which one did you mean, bro? Which one? I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Some of those people have had their marching orders, and some of them have tried to slowly creep back in. Some of them have been a bit touchy-feely with their co-workers, and rightfully so, been pushed out of the media industry. It takes all kinds. But long story short, journalists are wary with who they communicate with, and rightfully so. I've reached out to many journalists. Their reputation is on the line. They can't be associated with conspiracy theorist dipshits. So just keep it on the straight and narrow. Facts, figures, data, results analysis, something like that. Last week was Drag Week in the United States, and I watched the entire event, and I watched two particular people that I was following. One of them was a guy called Harry and his son, and they have a show called Haulassgarage, and that's a YouTube channel. You can go check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. That was with their car Stevo, which is a Chevelle orange and twin turbo, and yeah, they were good lads. Gosh, did they have a hard time ahead of them. They had a lot of problems with their car, and they tried to get it set up properly before the event. What did they have? Spur gear on the distributor stripped out, or at least they thought it did. They had lifter issues, they had relay and fuel pump issues, although the fuel pump issues were because of the relay, because maybe they didn't do their electrical work properly in the first place. I'm not trying to put you guys on burn, but I just thought that was kind of funny. So Drag Week, it was the 18th to the 23rd of September. There's lots of videos online. There's a 5-day event, 5 drag strips, and driving their car that they're racing from drag strip to drag strip. And yeah, hundreds, if not thousands of miles in between. So it's a real test of the vehicle. It's a real test of the drivers. And it's the idea that, it's a street car, obviously, if you can drive it on the street, even though you've got the turbos and the exhaust hanging out the front bonnet, which I thought was quite funny. So yeah, haulassgarage. I'll put a link down below. Go check them out. Good buggers. They are hilarious Australians. So well done, guys. Well done. Trump finally might be on the hook for not returning classified documents. And you might be thinking, hey, again, Nick, you're a Kiwi, you're in New Zealand. Why would you care about Donald Trump? Because so many other politicians seem to think or shape themselves, and the media shapes themselves around what he seems to be getting away with. The guy is a complete fuckwit, in my mind. I just don't get it. Anyway, the senior district judge, Raymond Deary, was engaged on this as a special master to oversee the records seized by the FBI. They managed to get their classified documents back in one of their cases. So cool, they're going on with their job. They asked Trump lawyers if he was trying to assert if the documents were his. They didn't want to say that the documents were his. They wanted to debate that later on. Judge Deary didn't have a bar of it and said, no, tell us if you believe the documents are his. Then he has a case to try and take them back. Didn't happen. They got the documents back. Woohoo. So, yeah. This is one of 2 judges that Trump's team had recommended. Oh, the irony. They probably didn't realize that this guy was such a straight shooter that he saw through all of their bullshit, and it's not working out too well for them. What a shame. What a shame. I recently got my council election papers the other day, and I'm scared to accidentally vote for someone from Voices for Freedom or any of the clowns associated with that stuff. And I almost felt like I needed to go and phone them up one by one and ask, hey, are you guys associated with Voices for Freedom or any of these crazy campaigns? It's going to catch out a lot of people, I reckon. People who just go, yeah, I'm going to tick for that person because they've got a nice smile. So if you are voting in your local elections, council elections, make sure the people that you vote for are definitely aligned with what you want them to do. These people, are trying to hide what their intentions are. If you're honest about what you're doing, say it. If you can't be honest about it, then piss off. So I've got to do my research in my area, and there are a few of them actually in my area, which actually surprised me, so holy shit. Google finally has a new skill, DeepMind AI program. Yes, it's called Transframer, and it can make a video from one image. And you might be thinking, how can it do that? What it does is it tries to perceive what the next frame is or what might be around the corner. Wow! Essentially, it's video prediction and view synthesis, predicting what might be around the corner, what a chair looks like from behind or below, and how far a lake front extends in front of you. So I've seen some of the demos from it. If you go check out on YouTube, for Transframer by Google, you might see it's not perfect, but it's incredible that it can actually start to predict some of these things. And it looks to be pretty amazing. I think it's not what the technology is today, but what the technology will be in a couple of months' time. I started using DALL-E again the other day, and I made this image. What I basically said was a picture of Darth Vader standing in a tall hallway with a red light around him and 2 troopers or whatever it was. And it produced that. Now, if you zoom into it, you can see that there are definitely some artifacts and things it hasn't got right. DALL-E is just, synthesizing what pixels it thinks should be there. I did try and tell it to do Darth Vader sitting down patting Ewoks. It didn't make Ewoks, it made Darth Vader in a forest sitting down patting other miniature Darth Vaders. And they weren't Darth Vader, it was like a hobbit version of Darth Vader patting smaller hobbit versions of Darth Vader. It was so funny. It didn't look like the way it was supposed to, which was hilarious. Anyway, DALL-E, you're going to have to apply to get the chance to use it. It takes a couple of weeks or months, I think. But it's certainly cool to be able to generate an image so quickly just by saying a couple of things. I think it's more funny the inaccuracy of some of the things that it produces rather than the accuracy of it, the things that you don't think of. Meta might not be paying off for Mr. Zuck. Bloomberg reported that Zuckerberg lost $71 billion of his fortune. It's only left him with a measly $55.9 billion. I mean, 1% of that and I'll be happy. He is the 20th richest person in the world at the moment, so he's stepped way down. I think he was number 2 at one point, or 2 or 3, one or the other. So Meta is just a digital playground. People can't be forced into living in the cartoon matrix. And that's what it is. The metaverse is like the cartoon matrix. It's not like a plug gets put into your head and it's truly another world. It's a plaything. And one of the reasons I feel like it's never going to take off and it's never going to be, at this stage, what people want it to be, is there's no real-world application for it. It's just vaporware. That's a good phrase. So, for an example, if you need wood, you need to go to the sawmill and get some wood. And someone has to have a job at the sawmill to cut the tree into planks for you to use the wood. So the role of someone working at a sawmill is necessary. But there's nothing necessary about the metaverse. Like, life could still go on if we didn't have it. It's not like the world is going to end because we don't have it. It just makes no sense. It's like even people pretend, going to work or doing conferences with metaverse, pretending to go to work. I don't want to pretend to go to work. I don't really want to go to work. So why would I pretend and play going to work? It just makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. Oh dear. Pork has been tagging Wellington. There's been a spike of graffiti. The Italian name for graffiti means little scratch, by the way. And this guy's been tagging his name Pork. I wonder if I need to go Pork, or if it's this way, Pork, for you on the screen. Which is hilarious. It's like, of all the tag names you could choose, Pork. That's what I'm choosing. I think that's hilarious. So good on him. Recently was Nine Inch Nails Fan Day. That was the 24th of September. That was a Q&A. I would love to have had the chance to go to that, but it's in Ohio in the States, and, well, flights are expensive. Pretty cheap to get a flight into Russia, though, I'm sure, at the moment. Not cheap to get a flight out. Of interest, this made me laugh. So Snowden recently got citizenship into Russia. Does that mean he now needs to serve in the army because he's within conscription age and he's a citizen now? I wonder. Like, that seems too good to be true, right? Right? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Anyway, that is today's Mumbo Jumbo Monage something or other on International Poke Day. I'm your host, nicneame. Thank you very much for listening. Tell your friends, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.